Christmas is my absolute favorite time of the year. It's a time for a lot of things. Family, friends, and for creators and makers like me, we get to involve a lot of different things. I get to be creative. I get to make gifts. I get to design them, all of that cool stuff. And so in this video, I'm going to show you some of my absolute favorite Christmas gifts that you can make this holiday season. Now, for all of these projects, I printed my transfers all together, ganged up into one big sheet on my Epson F570 large format sublimation printer. But just so you know, each of these projects, you could totally get them done on a small format printer like a Sawgrass SG500. So first off, we have these amazing hardboard sublimation puzzles from Unisub. Now, we've used the cardstock ones before. I don't want to mess this up too much, but these are actual hardboards. So they have a great weight to them. They feel super premium, and truth be told, they are super premium. They're available in 60 and 30 piece sets. So if you're gifting it to like maybe a younger person, a child, you probably want to go for the 30 piece. And they're the exact same dimensions, but just more pieces, you know, it means more complicated. These are really, really fun gifts. Not only are they great for the holidays, but any special occasion or announcement, like a birth announcement, gender reveal, bridesmaid proposal, all of those work great for these puzzles. And of course, it would not be Christmas without ornaments. So in this video, what I wanted to do is show you the different kind of ornaments you could make. We have our standard aluminum ornaments, which, you know, we've done before. These are great. They're super easy to press, but also easy to press. We have these wood ornaments. They are natural maple, super duper cool if you're going for that rustic vibe. And if you want kind of a more elegant, luxurious vibe, these brand new acrylic ornaments from Unisub. These are so cool. I had to include these this year. So ornaments are so much more diverse than most people give them credit for. And I think they're really, really cool projects to do every Christmas. Last but not least, we have our coasters here, which I'm going to be honest, this is a gift for myself this year. I love making references to my favorite holiday movies. And so each of these coasters represents that. These are incredibly easy to press. I want to call them dummy proof. I hope I'm not offending anybody by calling them dummy. I'm not calling you dummy. I'm saying these are dummy proof. They're so easy to press, as you can see. And, you know, I feel like they do great in a group of 4. Of course, you could do different size sets. You could do one at a time if you want to. I love giving them in a set of 4. And so today I made them for myself in a set of 4. If there's an award for the most underrated Sublecraft blank on the market, I would say it's this. These Sublecraft mini drawstring bags are incredible for gift giving. So as you're going to see at the very end, we're going to save these for last today, but you'll see how I use them and pair them with all my different gifts today. But on their own, they're incredibly cool. They're super easy to press, which I'll show you in a moment, and they come out great. I love them. Instead of putting things in a box with wrapping paper that's going to get destroyed, if you could fit it in one of these little bags, I think they make for incredible wrapping. So I absolutely love those. All right, so that's the overview for all of my projects here. Let me show you how I made each of them one at a time, starting with these awesome hardboard puzzles. Okay, so here I am in the Epson Edge print program. I absolutely love this program. It's a rip software. So it's what we're going to use to process our images, resize them, nest them all together, so that way we could print in one single gang sheet for all of our projects today. So I'm going to go ahead and click this add button. This is where we import our files, and I've got all my files here. So I'm just going to hold the control button, not that one. I'm going to hold the control button so I can click on multiple files and import them all at the same time. And I think this is it. There we go. I got 2 more for our video today. So RIP stands for, it's RIP, so it stands for Raster Image Processor. So this takes the image data from each of our graphics and it converts it into a format that the Sublimation printer can actually use to make sure that your colors come out perfect on the finished product. So now one thing I do love about this is it's super easy to resize your high-res images and get them ready to print. Now these are all going to be on different sheets. Don't worry, we'll combine them all a little bit later. But first, let me just resize these here. And so my wood ornament, I only need it to be 3 inches wide. These drawstring Santa sacks, these are all going to be 4 inches wide. I got 3 of them. And look how it's just so fast and easy. This coaster print, now I did this in a Photoshop template that I have, which is an 8x10. So let's resize that in here. These Christmas puzzles, again, I design in high resolution in Photoshop, so you have to adjust them here for print resolution. And these are going to be 10.05 inches wide. And you'll notice the dimensions are locked, so as long as one dimension is correct, it'll automatically stretch the other dimension. These are for my metal and acrylic ornaments, and these ones are going to be 4.2 inches wide and 4.2 inches wide. So now with all of these, I'm just going to select all, and I'm going to nest them. And so you can see, computer automatically arranges things. Now this, if that's not good enough, what I could do is I could additionally nest things by rotating them. So if I were to rotate this 90 degrees clockwise, select everything, and well, unnest and then renest it. Oops. And then renest everything. It should fit a little bit better. There we go. And of course, you can adjust your job intervals down here. But really, this should work pretty darn good. Another thing that you could do is you can kind of, once you're here, you can kind of manually like move things around if you really do want to. If you feel like you could play Tetris better than the computer, go for it, be my guest. If you want certain things to print together, you want other things to not print together, that is totally up to you. So I'm kind of doing that here. Again, this step is unnecessary. I already nested my job. It already came out great. But I'm kind of just showing you additional features in the software to, again, if you feel like you're better at Tetris than, than the RIP software, again, be my guest. And then this one now, we could unrotate it. Okay, you know what? Not gonna lie. Maybe I do play Tetris better than the computer. I don't know. I feel like I like this better. Huh. Interesting. Well, in any case, it's gonna come out great. And now this is ready to rock and roll. So I'm gonna click on all the jobs here. And now I'm going to click print. So the cool thing about this is it'll automatically trim my sheet and hold it in place. So now I'm ready to get it. I can just get it. Okay, so this elf has a lot of work to do for Santa right now. Let's start by trimming down our master sheet. All right, so our puzzles are up first. Now you want to be very careful when you're removing these from the packaging. You don't want to slice anything on the front imprint side of the puzzle. Okay, so I'm just going to gently, see, that was a little too gentle, a little harder. There we go. Going to gently open this up here. Now these hardboard puzzles, I love the weight to them. If you've ever done any of the like kind of cardboard or cardstock puzzles, those are great, don't get me wrong. But there's a weight to this hardboard. It's been very precisely laser cut. But each piece has like a really great weight to it. If you have like a microfiber cloth, just make sure there's no lint on the surface. I'm kind of wiping it away by hand. Don't do that. You should use a microfiber if you have one. And it's gonna come on, and I don't want to tip it over, it's gonna come with like a cardboard backing. So what I would recommend doing to keep everything together is do this, and then you can just very quickly flip it, making sure, oh, see, I kind of messed it up. That's gonna happen, okay? Okay, we're just gonna pop all these puzzle pieces back together, just like that. They fit really great. And so now what I'm doing, and I'll kind of scoot it up so you can see a little bit better. So now what I'm doing is I'm aligning the puzzle to my print. So I have about an 1/8 inch of bleed on all sides, meaning an 1/8 inch of extra printed area. It's going to ensure that my puzzle is printed completely edge to edge. And so what I will also do is I'm going to put this here. This is going to help to keep everything together. But I'm going to have to get a little creative here with my heat tape. So I'm going to heat tape it in all 4 corners. And hopefully this keeps everything together as I transport it over to my heat press. Now, another thing that'll probably work a little bit better if you have it is going to be the it's not the Albuchem, I'm sorry. It's the Eco Mist adhesive spray. That'll work better. Give a little blast to the transfer, to the printed transfer itself, not to the puzzle. And that'll help kind of keep everything stuck together a little bit better. But if you only have heat tape, you can do this. Now, as I move it, okay, you know what? That worked out pretty good. Basically, my goal with the heat tape is to just kind of keep everything together while I take it over to my heat press. I'm going to repeat the exact same steps with the second puzzle. Now, that first puzzle, that was a 30-piece puzzle. This is going to be a 60-piece puzzle. There we go. There we go. So this is a 60-piece puzzle, more pieces for more skilled puzzle put-togetherers, whatever you call them, for more skilled puzzlers. All right, so I'm using the 30-piece puzzle over here for a younger recipient, and then this larger 60-piece is going to a more experienced recipient. And do the same thing. I'm going to be a little bit more careful this time. I'm going to try my best to keep the entire puzzle together. Darn it, nope. Didn't work. So now I have the fun job of putting this puzzle back together. There we go. Nice. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to use the bleed to help me align everything, keep it all together. Of course, kind of want to press the puzzle together. Make sure there's no gaps. Okay, awesome. Everything looks aligned, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. And really, this is to help keep everything together. Without this little cardboard piece, what would happen is all the puzzle pieces in the center would just fall out when I move it over to my heat press. I'm going to go 4 corners on this one. Trying my best to keep everything together when I take it over to my heat press. Okay, and there we go. Some of these pieces are over here, and also you want to be very careful when you move it. Hold the bottom in place, that way it doesn't come loose. All right, puzzles are ready to go. I'm gonna move those over to the side. This next one's actually gonna be the easiest. I went from the hardest piece to the easiest piece. This is gonna be the easiest one right here. These are my coasters. And I have a template where I do 4 coasters at a time. This template does fit on a regular sheet of 8.5 by 11, which is roughly what I'm using right here. And because coasters are often sold in sets of 4, this works out perfectly. Now with these coasters right here, these are going to be the Unisub 3 3/4 inch coasters with the cork backing. These are the hardboard coasters. I love these things. They sublimate beautifully. They do have a protective layer of film. Now, I believe in today's video, there's only 2 items that have a film. It's going to be this and my acrylic ornament. So make sure if you are using something with a film that you do remove it before you heat press it. So then you just place it face down. And I've printed this template with a stroke around each circle, each ornament, and that's going to help me keep everything centered. So one at a time here. And as you can see, when I flip it over, it exposes that cork back. I love having the cork back already on there. There are some coasters that are available where you sublimate the coaster and then you apply the cork backing with adhesive. I'm not really a fan of those. They're not terrible. They're usually a little bit less expensive, but I love just having the cork already on there from the factory. So I like that. Again, centering it to the light stroke right there on my template. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this. There it is. It definitely helps to have a little bit of fingernails when you're peeling off these protective films. Okay, so now it's all centered. Again, with the heat tape right here, this is a little bit faster. You don't have to be super precise. Oh, be careful not to bump any other ones. So usually wherever you can do it, wherever you can put down 2 pieces of heat tape should work out. Right there. Now the reason I use the stroke around is because all of these ornaments have a plain white background. And because of that, when you're positioning the ornament, if there was no stroke on there, you wouldn't really know where center was over that graphic. So it's very important if you're setting up a template in like Photoshop or something like that, add a stroke to your outside shape, and that'll just help you placing your transfers or positioning your transfers when you have a white background. That was pretty easy. These coasters are ready to go into my heat press. And it's on to the next one. Let's get my ornaments here. Now these 3 ornaments all have different thicknesses, so I will have to split them up. But we're going to prep them all together. And they all get prepped the same way. So ornaments have a little hole where you put the hanging, either a string or ribbon or chain on them. Make sure that's oriented on the top. You won't believe how many times, not only have I done this mistake, but I've seen people make this mistake where they'll accidentally, they're just going to center the circle like with the coaster. The coaster doesn't matter how you orient it. It'll always be right side up. But with the ornament, very much matters that your ornament hole is at the very top and centered to your graphic. So I'm going to go ahead and position that one. Then this is my aluminum ornament. This one's actually double-sided, but I'm only pressing one side today, which is totally fine. Centering that with my graphic. And then here we go. This is the acrylic ornament from Unisub. We also have some Sublecraft acrylic ornaments available, but that's not what this is. This is from Unisub, and they have the exclusive Benelux shape, just like our aluminum ornament over here. This is super cool. Now, when you're working with the Unisub ornaments, you're going to see there's a clear side, there's a clear side, and there's an imaging side. The imaging side is solid white. So we're going to peel off the protective film on the imaging side, which again is a solid white side. And the imaging side is going to go down right here. And again, I'm going to use the bleed of my graphic to find center. And we're going to, just like we do with the coasters, we're going to go ahead and just use 2 strips of tape on each one, pretty much wherever you can fit it. Oops, I accidentally shifted that one. Let's fix that, and I'll just kind of lock it in right there. Perfect. And next for my wood ornament. That looks good. There we go. All these are now prepped, and it's on to our final items. Okay, these are our Sublimation mini drawstring bags. These are awesome. And guess what? I'm not going to prep these here. These actually get prepped on the heat press, so that was just a little joke. Let's head on over to our heat press. These are my easiest transfers right here. These are my coasters. They're all together. They're all going to press at once. And what I could do to save parchment paper is I could just fold this over right here. Make like a little parchment paper envelope. And because these have to get pressed with the print side facing up, I'll just do a quick little easy flip right here. Very carefully, of course. There we go. Perfect. Now, one thing it's important to keep in mind is that your transfer is always at the center of your heat press. So because it's a solid white piece of paper, I can't really see exactly where each one is, but I could feel it more or less. These press for only 60 seconds, not 90. Okay, that's time for our transfers. Again, we're going to carefully open the upper plot in there. You saw how it kind of sticks to it. That's just something that happens here. And for our peel, well, usually I like to let them settle for just a little bit here. But for our peel, you can just kind of carefully, as you go through, just kind of hold them down. There we go. Okay, so these have finally cooled down, which is very important. So I'm able to touch them with my bare hands, and man, they look so good. That's the thing I love about sublimation is the colors come out so rich, so bold, which makes artwork like this, especially graphic art, like vector style art, they come out really, really nice on these. Now, these are the gloss sublimation coasters with the cork backing. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this already. I love when the cork is already on the coaster. There are other coasters available where you just apply the cork after the fact. Not bad. I'm not knocking it at all. But it's just so much easier, saves me time. And so time is money, right? But man, these look cool. These are going to go great at my house. So that way, anytime I have to tell somebody, because it's always awkward, right? You're like, hey, do you mind using the coaster? Well, you can totally kill that awkwardness and actually make it really cool. Like, hey, do you mind using a coaster? And you hand them these cool coasters. And now, instead of being a weird moment, it's a fun moment. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about them. They're very affordable. They make great gifts. Or if you're like me and you're greedy, you should make it for yourself. Decorate it for your own house. All right, time for my ornaments. I got a new sheet of parchment paper here. Now, I have 3 ornaments with 3 different levels of thickness. So we're going to have to do 3 individual presses. No more pressing together for these ones. Now, because my acrylic ornament is the thickest, that's going to go first. And again, we're pressing everything with the imaging side facing up to get all that nice heat and pressure from the heat press. Because this is small, I can kind of just do what I did with those coasters and just kind of envelope it. But again, you want to be careful to make sure that your item is like dead center on the heat press. That way it can get the best possible pressure. That's currently right there. There we go. Okay, let's press it. Okay, now something very interesting about the acrylic ornaments is that when they cool off, they do tend to curl a little bit. Now, the curling's not horrible. Most people are going to be just fine with it. But if you want to minimize the amount of curling, get yourself something like this. This is actually a burger patty press that we have wrapped in parchment paper. And what you want to do is just apply cool pressure to it immediately after it comes out of the heat press. That's going to help it stay as flat as possible. Another thing you can do is you have some thick, heavy books. Bring the acrylic ornament out. Ideally, you'll be on a separate surface, and you can just apply the weight, the pressure for about a minute or so. I go ahead and carefully open up my heat press. And again, right out of the press, I'm not even going to do anything. I'm just going to apply some cool pressure onto the ornament. So as it's out of the heat press, it will cool as flat as possible. Again, the curling is not terrible. I actually think it's kind of cool because it's a little bit more dimension. But if you want it as flat as possible, you can apply some weight to it like this. Okay, you only need to apply pressure for, a minute or 2. Then it should be fine here. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. We are going to peel, but it's not yet time for our reveal. So these acrylic ornaments, you can kind of see my graphic right here, but these acrylic ornaments, on the front side, the viewing side, this clear acrylic is protected by a white film. That white film is very important because it's going to keep the acrylic from getting scratched in transit. Now you have 2 options. If you really want to see it, you could peel it, and I'll show you once it cools down. But if you are going to ship this to a customer, I would recommend shipping it with the film intact and let them peel it. It's a satisfying peel, but also you want the surface to remain scratch-free. If you do decide to peel it yourself, keep in mind that you'll probably have to rewrap it with something to keep it from getting scratched in transit. Once this cools down, I'll go ahead and peel it for you. Okay, now my next ornament is a wood ornament. Again, we're going to go imaging side up. The only difference here is I'm going to use this side of the parchment. The only difference here is I'm going to change the pressure on my heat press. Because this is going to be a little bit thinner than the previous products we've pressed, will require me to increase the pressure level on my press just a little bit. Let me test it here. That feels pretty good, so I'm gonna let that go. Okay, timer's at 0. Let's carefully open up our heat press. Gonna slide this out here, and I usually give it a few moments to cool down before I peel. Okay. Slide that open. Time for our peel. Oh, this is so cool. Man, that's a cute little pup. I actually enjoy the smell of this because, this is real maple wood that you're sublimating on. And I don't know, it smells almost like a Christmas tree in a weird way. But yeah, the ornament looks fantastic. You get that really cool wood finish. And then on the back here, you could do another customization if you want. With sublimation, you could laser etch it. You could hand draw something. This is real maple wood here. So very cool. I think that came out fantastic. Okay, our last ornament for this video is going to be our aluminum ornament. Now, this one's unique in the sense that I could press it facing down or up. Because the metal is such a great conductor of heat and it's so thin, I could really press it either way. But in doing things correctly, we're pressing everything the right way with the imaging side facing up. Close that there. We want this as close to center as possible. And I'm, again, going to increase my pressure here because this is so much thinner than the other items that we've been pressing. So again, increasing pressure, giving that a few turns. Let me see how that feels. It's a little firm. I'm actually going to back down just a hair. And we're ready to rock and roll. All right, that beep means we're ready to go. Open the press, slide it out, and again, give it a few moments to cool down. One thing that's very important, when you're letting things cool down for a moment, make sure that the transfer does not shift on the surface of the substrate. This is one reason why we use heat tape in all of our hard surface products. We don't want that transfer to shift because if it does shift, it's going to re-imprint while it's hot, and that's going to create like a blurring effect. So if for some reason you're not using heat tape or you find that you see that the transfer is shifting, go for an immediate peel. Don't worry about waiting. But this is ready to rock and roll. Now, this, of all the transfers, is going to be the hottest because it's metal. So make sure you're wearing heat-resistant gloves. I can already feel it through the gloves. It's very hot. So that's great. Now, this is a great example of something you could do with an ornament. It's a vintage photo of an old... It's a vintage photo of an older couple, and Christmas ornaments are a great way to memorialize and commemorate the people in our lives year after year, especially during the holidays. This is actually burning through my gloves. I'm going to set that back down and move on to the next project. These are just the best. I love ornaments. I've been doing the aluminum ornaments every year for almost as long as I've worked here. So I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 Christmases I've been doing those. These are pretty new, and I'm a big fan of these wood ones. I love that it's real maple, right? So it gives it like a really rustic vibe. It's very unique, very cool. And if you're like me and your family has lots of aluminum ornaments already, it's good to mix it up a little bit. Now, these are acrylic ones. I gotta say, the image quality is fantastic. The thick dimension from the from the acrylic gives it, just the best, super luxurious vibe to it. I don't know how to explain it. I can tell you this, though, the camera's not doing it justice. These in person, the weight of them, the feel, the look, they're absolutely incredible. And look, I know I just said I do these every year, but there's a reason, right? They're the easiest things to press. They're incredibly long-lasting and durable, and everybody loves them. So if you're looking for something easy to do this holiday season, go for the aluminum ornaments. People are going to love them, especially if you, use especially like this, like a vintage photo to commemorate or remember those loved ones that we've lost that are no longer with us. I think it's important to keep them near and dear, or especially around the holidays. So you could do that with these, do so many things. This one's double-sided. I only did one side, but you could easily imprint both sides on these. They're fantastic. Now, these puzzles are going to be pressed with the imaging side up. And I'm just kind of running my hand over to make sure that none of the pieces are loose. They're all together. They're all there on our template. Do a quick little flip. There we go. Yeah. Again, I'm just feeling it to make sure that everything is where it should be. And there we go. Okay, 90 seconds on the clock. Okay, that beep means our heat press is ready. I'm going to very carefully open the machine. Let's slide out my transfers. There we go. We're going to give it a few seconds to just kind of settle there. Let's go ahead and peel this bottom one first and kind of take that off there. There we go. Oh, that looks fabulous. Wow. Hold on. I don't want these puzzle pieces to come apart. So maybe I should just wait to move that around there. But this looks absolutely amazing. Super cool. Let's go ahead and peel this next one here. There we go. I got tape on all four corners here. Let's get this out. I feel like I'm unwrapping a Christmas present right now. There we go. Wow. These both look amazing. I'll flip that over. All right, it is time for our cute little mini drawstring bags. And for this, I'm going to be using a T-padded, and I'll show you why in a second. But first, because this is now thicker than what we just previously done, I got to loosen my pressure again. Give it a few turns here. Feel it out. Oh, that's way tight. Gonna go a lot looser. Let's see. Okay. 2 more for good measure, and we should be good to go. Okay, I'll take off my gloves so I can show you. All right. So now, the reason why we use a T-pad is because up here on this drawstring bag, there's a fixed seam on top with the drawstring running through it. Because that area is much thicker than the flat body, it could cause some areas, especially in this upper section, to not transfer properly. So what we do is we hang it off the edge right here, so that way the body can get pressure and it's not gonna, this part right here is hanging off the side of the T-pad, so we're not gonna have an issue with that. Another thing you could do is just hang it off the edge of your heat press. That works too. But since I have a T-pad, this is what I'm going to do. I don't think I could fit all 3 on this pad at once. So I'm gonna do 2 and then I'll do 1. Again, you wanna make sure that the top part here is completely off the edge of the T-pad. So now what you'll notice is if you have a really loosely cut transfer like this, it's kind of hard to know exactly where everything is. I could see through a little bit, but it's not enough to guarantee uniform placement. So what you're gonna have to do is with some scissors, make sure you have an even cut on all of your projects, right? So right here, now I am kind of eyeballing it. But as you can see, I'm about, I don't know, we'll call that like a 1/4 inch, 1/16 of an inch on all sides. And you want that to be uniform on all of your graphics. So on this, I have a square. Now this is a lot harder than it seems. Well, for me anyways, it is. And so what I'm doing is I'm cutting a uniform around the base because that's easiest for me to identify. And so now I know that when I place my base right here on the bag, it's a little bit easier to center, right? Makes things a little bit easier to center. So I'm going to do the same thing right here. And so now I'm going to have just a slightly easier time, placing everything. Okay, I'm going to place some parchment paper over the top. This is a really great time to have some of that Eco Mist adhesive spray. Blast a little bit on the transfer, and that way when you stick it down, it'll actually stay there and you don't have to worry about it shifting. But since I don't have any right now, I'm going to carefully place this over. And again, just very careful that I don't let anything move. Okay, slide that back in. 60 seconds on the clock. Let's do this. All right, that time means it's ready. Now, I'm going to be very careful when I open the press, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't have any adhesive holding my transfers in place, it'll be very easy for them to shift on the surface, like I mentioned a little earlier. So I'm going to very carefully remove that parchment paper. giving them just a second. Now, if I had noticed any sort of shift, I would immediately go straight for the peel. But since I didn't, we should be good. I'm going to give these a few more seconds, and then I'm going to peel. Okay, let's go for it. Very fast. There we go, very fast. Oh, those came out fantastic. Okay, now I'm not going to hold these up for a good reason. I don't want them to fall apart. These puzzles are incredible. I think these are one of the coolest new products to come out in a long time. Because of the weight, I'm going to take off a piece here. These are actual hardboard puzzles, which is like a composite wood. And they feel amazing. The pieces feel very great quality. I'll put that one back. The image quality is superb. Because they're from Unisub, you know you're going to get that incredible high-resolution look on whatever you want. Whatever image you have, whether it's a family portrait like this, whether it's artwork for the kids, you can really do whatever you want with these puzzles. Again, 30 piece for your younger puzzlers and 60 piece for pretty much everybody else. I can think of a gazillion occasions and announcements where these would be not only appropriate, but very fun, very cool way to announce something, to say something, or just, in this case, you're headed over to somebody's house for Christmas, your cousin's house, your family's house, bring a little gift for the kids. I guarantee you they're going to remember it forever. So really cool. Now, to go along with these puzzles are the Sublicraft mini drawstring bags that we made. Now, just to talk about the bags really quick, you are able to sublimate both sides. I chose to just do one. You could easily do both sides. In fact, you could sublimate the entire surface, but like I mentioned earlier, the top part is pretty thick, so you may have issues around that seam. That's why I choose to just sublimate just the main body, really. Again, in theory, you probably could do the whole thing, but it's best practice just to do this area. And I think these look great. It's very permanent. They are reusable, so I don't know if you want to like take it back to give your gifts to Coraline next Christmas, but you could, I guess, if you want to. But what we're using them for today is this is what we're going to use to give all of our gifts, starting with these puzzles. So I'm going to go ahead. Here's the fun part. We're going to move this one out of the way. And now I can... Oh, I thought that was going to break apart. All right, well, now's the fun part of any puzzle. You got to break it apart. And so here's what we're going to do with our bag. We're going to use our bag to give the puzzle. So let me go ahead and break these apart. There we go. Oh, this is literally my favorite part of any puzzle. I might be a lunatic, but my favorite part of building something with Legos is actually breaking it apart at the end once I'm done. Okay, so now that my puzzle's done, I'm going to put all the pieces into the gift bag. Now, of course, fully built, this would not fit, but broken up, it actually fits perfectly. So let me go ahead and get all these pieces in there. And when I give this gift, whoever's getting, I guarantee you, they're not going to think a puzzle's inside. All right, this is going to be a great surprise. And again, you could do this not just for Christmas. You could do this for birth announcements, gender reveals, bridesmaid proposals, promposals, which are a thing now. Or I say now, I'm so old. And then when you're all done, you could just tie it up. You could present it like this. Now these ends are not tied together. You could knot those if you want. You could leave it just like this. Do whatever you want. But isn't this the coolest? So now that was not my family. But when I go to Christmas this year, I just might take a few of these to my nephews and nieces. It'll give them something to do while they're waiting for everything to get started. And it's a gift they're going to love forever. So that's really cool. Let's go ahead and bag up our other gifts this year. I'm going to be honest. If I was putting just one ornament inside, that'd be perfect. Like this acrylic ornament. That's going to be just fine. If you're going to do multiple ornaments, you may want to find a way to maybe wrap them in like parchment paper so the front surfaces don't get scratched in transit. That's probably the only thing I would note about that. But let's just pretend I had done that. They all fit perfectly in here. And then, of course, last but not least, my movie coasters. And even though these are a gift to myself this year, who says I can't present myself with a cool bag? Now, my name is not Rigoberto, but if it was, that bag would be great. And of course, these fit a little more snug, but they fit perfectly. There we go. Now, if you want to try your hand at some of these projects, everything that I use today is available at heatpressnation.com. The blanks, the printers, the supplies, everything. Not only do we have an incredible selection of sublimation products, we have a huge selection of heat press and heat transfer equipment and supplies. Everything from heat transfer vinyl, direct-to-film white toner, you name it, we got it. Again, head on over to heatpressnation.com today to get yours.